Oh, hello. I didn't see you walk in. Welcome, dear guest, to the Dub Talk Host Club. We're a simple group of middle-class anime fans with far too much free time on our hands, here to entertain you and make sure you leave satisfied. But before the festivities can begin, we have a few waivers we need to look over. The Dub Talk Host Club may contain language and content that's not suitable for younger audiences. So don't go crying to mommy when you hear something perverse. Listener discretion is advised. Also, there are definitely spoilers ahead for the anime we're about to discuss. But that's never stopped you before, has it, darling? And finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and do not reflect Dub Talk as a whole. Now, after all that boring paperwork, let's get to reverse harem debauchery! Yay!
Kiss, kiss, fall in love. Maybe you're my love.
Welcome, gentle people, to the Dub Talk High School Host Club, where you may relax and indulge yourselves in the finest leisure and luxury, all while listening to intense discussion of the finest English language dubs by the most handsome and charming members of our club, or at least the most bearded ones. Usually, only the most wealthy and elite anime podcast listeners are allowed, but today we're opening our doors to all for this special event. But where are my manners? Let me introduce my fellow hosts. Here we have our master of manliness and owner of an exceptional mustache, Spaceman Hardy.
Yo.
To his left, we have our Moe master of charts and lover of pugs, Roots of Justice.
I'm Scruffalotti.
Over here we have our loud and snarky type, Classy Spartan, aka Andrew.
Oh, ladies, I hope you like what you see. You never know what's gonna happen.
And last but certainly not least, we have our shy and naughty type, Itchinader.
Please be gentle.
And they, with me, Amon, your resident music freak and expert about lies and nonsense, shall take you into the world of Ouran High School Host Club, a absolutely delightful comedy and a surefire classic of Funimation's back catalog. For those of you not in the know, Ouran High School Host Club is about Haruhi, a scholarship student at an extremely fancy and wealthy high school. Haruhi's doing their best to fit in, keep their grades up, etc. But they end up having a chance encounter with the High School Host Club, a group of overly beautiful, pretty men who indulge the ladies at the club for money and fun. This seems to go well until Haruhi unwittingly breaks a vase, and now must become a member of the host club in order to help pay for the damages. There's only one problem. Haruhi's a woman.
Gasp!
And shenanigans ensue. Yes.
Clutch the pearls, what a sneaky thing to do!
I know, right?
It's also
almost
worth,
like...
It's also worth noting that this is not, like... These boys are not, like, male prostitutes. They are comfort pretty boys where it's like...
No, they like serve you tea and talk to you.
And they're very professional.
It's very chaste.
Basically think of a cat cafe, except instead of the kitties being very playful with you, they're getting up close and personal and giving you compliments and making you feel loved.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a fun time. But, anyways, let's jump right in and start talking about our ADR director and our scriptwriters. The ADR director on this is none other than Caitlin Glass, who has been around for ages and has directed all sorts of stuff. More recent things you might know her for are Show by Rock, Sakura Quest, and currently Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. And we have two credited scriptwriters. The bulk of them was done by Monica Rial, who's also done work on stuff like Seraph of the End, Level E, Tokyo Ghoul, and for a blast from the past, DN Angel.
Oh, wow.
Poor woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? Yeah, right? And a handful of the episodes were also written by J. Michael Tatum, who you might know for shows such as Aka 13, Assassination Classroom, and 91 Days. So, gentlemen, what do we think about our director and scriptwriter here? Hardy, if you'd start us off.
Well, I've always really been a fan of Caitlin Glass's work. even going back to her helping out Mike McFarlane in the Full Metal Alchemist series, because this was recorded a few years after that one. And I think this is some of the best direction that, for a 10-year-old dub, this is some of the best direction I think Funimation's ever had, to be perfectly honest. Moving on to the script writing, I generally liked it. You can tell that it is a 10-year-old dub because some of the terminology they use in a few of the episodes probably would have to be written differently today, especially concerning a certain couple of characters, which we'll get to later on. But other than that, yeah, it's very competently written, and thankfully it's not bogged down by catchphrases or slang circa 2008, which is one of the things I appreciated a lot of it. So yeah, I think it was really good in both accounts.
Excellent. Roots?
Yeah, I am generally a fan of Caitlin Glass's direction. This is pretty tightly polished. Probably one of the better things Funimation's put out, probably before this decade, you know. As for script writing, as Hardy said, there was some, let's just say, disappointing language choices that would not fly today. But you have to... It's sort of like the Looney Tune cartoon DVDs, where you kind of have to take them as a product of their time.
Yeah, like, I don't think I would blame that as, like, that was a poor choice. It's just, at the time, that was like nobody thought anything else of it.
Right. But, other than that, does have a certain level of polish to it. It's sort of that late 2000s. It's slightly rough around the edges, but you can kind of give it a slide, because, you know, while Funimation's been doing this for probably good part of a decade by that point in time, there was still room to grow.
Indeed. Andrew?
So, as this episode is technically a Dub Talk Classics, several of us are watching the show for the first time. Myself, I've never watched Ouran High School Host Club before this, and I always know a lot of my friends had seen it and loved it. A lot of the people I know who are like, I hate anime, have watched it and enjoyed it. So I'm like, man, I really should get around to this someday. So I got to watch this one for both my 2018 massive anime Operation Backlog project, where this one was originally scheduled much later in the year, but I swapped it around when it's like, oh, we want to do this as a White Day special. By the way, you're welcome, ladies. Anyways, watching this for the first time, knowing this is an almost 10-year-old dub, this ages really well. Like, the direction and the performance from a lot of these characters are standout and, like, hilarious, breathtaking, outrageous, and fun characters. The script itself is very witty, very funny, very amusing, and like I said, the only real thing that's dated is the use of, I think we can mention it for research and discussion purposes, the use of the word...
Let's just say it starts with a T and it rhymes with nanny.
Okay. You should know what it is. Okay. Point is, honestly, like, the script itself has aged really well. It's hilarious. It's remarkable. And there's some stuff in there that I genuinely was kind of surprised was there. Even, like, it was apparently even in there in the original, where it's like, you're all the supporting cat. Like, I am the main love interest, and y'all are the supporting homosexuals.
Ouran is a very self-aware reverse harem,
I
let's
think
say.
that's why I like it so much, is that from the beginning of the show, it's very clear it knows what it is, and all the stuff that I was like, oh god, is this going to be too so-and-so? It's like, all the characters seem aware of what the show is, and that it's parodying all this shoujo and yaoi content, and it works, and it's so funny, and it's amazing, and I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Itchy?
Yeah, kind of the same way. This show, I've watched it for many years now. I don't usually watch it yearly, but I watched it back in the day, like back in 2010, 2009, when I really got into a lot of anime watching. And watching it recently, it really holds up a lot. A lot of the characters just fit into those archetypes very well. And it feels like the direction of that was just so spot on for all these characters to be so like their personalities. It's one of my favorite shows. It feels like I kind of forgot a lot about the show, but when I rewatched it, it just all these memories came flooding back, and it just felt amazing to watch the show again because it is really special to me.
Also, it's worth noting, we have an extra boy on tonight because it's Ouran and we needed more boys with beards, so we have a guest tonight. That's Itchy.
I am kind of new here. You could say I'm like the Haruhi of the group now, because I'm basically the new boy. Definitely not cross-dressing this time, though.
He broke Hardy's piggy goat, and now he has to pay for it by doing this episode.
He broke my glass boot.
Itchy, how could you? He just got that. Shame, shame, shame.
You're supposed to turn the toe, Itchy.
Nothing to cry about it.
Oh,
not even 10 minutes in, we've already hit puns. Wonderful.
Oh,
I am hosting this episode, aren't I?
Record.
Anyways,
no, I agree a lot, Itchy. I have also not watched this in many years, and it was a delight to come back to this. If you had asked me, like, early college, basically around the time this came out, hey, what's a really great recent English dub, this would be near the top of the list. I've always enjoyed this. I always thought it was very sharp. It was very funny. And it just did a wonderful job of translating the humor into this, wonderful spoken dub. And as people noted, some of the language is a little problematically dated. But happily, it's pretty brief and not that hard to avoid. So, I think, a lot of thumbs up all around. But now that we've talked about the nuts and bolts behind recording it, let's get down to the specific performances. In our first little group, Ouran, if you've never seen it, has oodles and oodles of side characters. They're everywhere. Pretty much every episode has at least one prominent character who does a bunch of stuff. We could cover all of them, but we'd probably be here for about 4 hours. And I'm not sure any of us actually want to talk that long about anything. So, we're going to give you a little
this is not a
sampling.
Danganronpa episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I see your condescending gaze, Hardy. I know you're looking at me through the computer screen in the form of my avatar, but I see your condescending gaze, sir.
In his defense, Andrew.
Judgment.
In his defense, Andrew, I kind of thought the same thing when I was prepping this episode.
Fair enough.
Sorry. But it would be a shame to just ignore all of them, so we're going to give you a little taste. And in our first set of characters, we have 3 wonderful side characters. We have Umihito Nekozawa, a weird cat-obsessed guy who shows up at the host club once in a while behind a spooky door. We have Ritsu Kasanoda, the son of a prominent Yakuza member who joins the host club in an attempt to get people to like him more because everyone's terrified of him because he always looks like he's going to murder you.
AKA,
he just has that.
AKA Bossa Nova.
Exactly. And finally, we have Eclair Tonore, who is a woman that they try and get one of our leads to get engaged to late in the series, and she does not care for this host club nonsense. She does not see the point of any of this. It's very tragic. The 3 of them are played by... Nekozawa is played by Patrick Seitz. You would know for all sorts of things. Most recently, you know him playing Dio in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He plays Frankie in One Piece. He's George Koizumi in Paradise Kiss, a personal favorite of mine. And of course, he is Wolfgang Grimmer in Monster, my favorite performance in any dub ever. He's so nice. Kasanoda is played by Christopher Sabat. He would best known for playing, obviously, Armstrong in Full Metal Alchemist. He's Funimation's go-to voice for Daisuke Jigen in various Lupin the Third series. And most recently, you've probably heard him in, say, All Might in My Hero Academia. And finally, Claire Tonere is played by Colin Clinkenbeard, who's known for playing such roles as Riza Hawkeye in Full Metal Alchemist, Nice Hollystone in Bakano, and Misaka Kurata in Kodocha, which I only found out just doing research for this episode, where she's very funny. Anyways, gentlemen, what do we think of these performances? Hardy?
Well, basically, we have two dear, sweet, gentle boys and one uppity bitch. But yeah, Patrick Seitz, I'd have to say, if you could take his Luke Valentine, combine it with his Dio Brando, and then just make it just the most tortured little weeb character imaginable. He's like a little gothic ham, afraid to leave his closet.
Pretty much.
Aw,
Yeah.
ham. Nature's candy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun hearing him go all goofy goth and then freak out whenever someone flashes a light in his face. So, but with Christopher Sabat, this is basically almost this character is basically if what's his name Kuwabara if he didn't have the goofy accent. It's pretty much the same character.
But that's half the fun of Kuwabara's the goofy accent.
True.
I feel robbed.
Yeah, but no, he's this rough, tough Yakuza kid, and but he's got a gentle side. He just wants to be friends with people. He wants to be loved, and you can really feel the whiplash when he goes from angry, brooding angst to I just want to play kick the can. Yeah, and with Colleen, not much is really known about her character other than she's not all there in the head entirely. And she takes her opera glasses into the shower for some reason.
She's an eccentric rich lady. They just do weird crap all the time.
Right.
Why does she take those
But anyways-
fucking things in the shower? I'm sorry.
Because how will people know she's rich? You may ask who's in the shower to know that. It doesn't matter.
She has to watch the show.
She's
Exactly.
she's very, very nearsighted, so she needs to take them in there to make sure she turns the hot water knob and not the cold one.
I don't understand this confounded contraption. What does the red mean and what does the blue do? I don't understand.
But
Oh,
anyways,
God, the red means hot. The red means hot.
Anyways, yeah, I think all of them did a really great job. Sorry, I cannot speak today. I has the dumb. Yeah, they all brought their own little individual levels of hamminess and campiness to their performances, especially mainly on Seitz's case. But yeah, they all did a really respectable job voicing these characters.
Excellent. Roots?
Descript girl. I'll eat her later. But I know. Yeah, Amon gets it. I really like Patrick Seitz's sort of the lovable goofball goth. Just overly dramatic, overly hammy. Everything's a production. Like, it's Patrick Seitz in his comfort zone. And Chris.
So are you insinuating that in real life Patrick Seitz lives in the closet and wears a dark cloak?
I mean, what do you think being a voice actor is?
Oh,
you go.
right.
He makes a point, audience.
But let me just say, some of my favorite Chris Sabat roles of all time are the Precious Cinnamon Roll characters, which thankfully Bossa Nova happens to be. Big time. Like Hardy said, it's Kuwabara without... I wouldn't say without the sort of punkish accent, but it's definitely not as there as it is in Yu Yu Hakusho. And Colleen does a really great job as sort of the out of touch, arranged marriage fiance kind of character, who's basically got another character that we'll be talking about at probably towards the tail end of the episode, basically by the balls until the probably the last minute or two of the show. I really like the performance. But, she's only there for the last 2 episodes, so there's really not much to say.
Alright.
Yeah. Andrew.
Okay. First things first. Patrick Seitz as dorky, goth nerd loser with a stuffed cat sock puppet who is actually a really handsome prince boy. I didn't expect my manly man Patrick Seitz to be voicing a kid with too much money and time to go to Hot Topic, but I am so glad that this is something that exists, because that makes me very, very happy. He's such a dork and a loser, but he just wants to get his little sister to get his attention, but he's kind of this weird goth loser, and he doesn't know how to deal with that. Also, his mates are fucking terrible, by the way. He read some shoujo manga shit, and now she knows what debauchery and reverse harems are. God damn.
None of these people are fit to raise children. It's very sad.
But when you have all the money in the fucking world, just let the sperm fly. Anyway. Honestly, that kind of is integral to one of these characters' plot lines, but we'll get to that. Anyways, I love Patrick Seitz as this character. I'm glad I could hear him. Chris Sabat, I adore Bossa Nova. I love this character so much because he genuinely is this rude character, but he's very emotional and he wants people to get his attention, and that's why he wants to go to Mori, because how can more people like Mori even though you're scary? And it's oh yeah, he has the tiny little innocent child that is Honey Senpai. But Casanova is great. I love him. I love his dynamic with Haruhi. I love that he actually is the one that discovers that, and he has to deal with that. And Kyoya just kind of you know what? Don't worry. We're going to make a shit ton of money out of all this yaoi bait. And that man is a business prodigy. God bless. Casanova, Chris Sabat is adorkable as this character. He's very strong and powerful, but he really just wants people to like him. And I very much felt for this character, and I want this character to have all the love and affection in the world, which is the exact opposite I could say about Eclair. Because Eclair, she's judging the world through binoculars that she takes in the shower, and she is the arranged marriage because she's going to buy out and ruin some other people's companies and try to get Tamaki's interest in her. Also, I think she's non-canon or something, but who cares? Colleen does a really good job at making her sound snooty, rich, and mean. Also, she kind of just is everything you don't want in a relationship that, somebody else is calling, don't talk to them. That kind of controlling stuff is messed up. But I enjoy her performance as Eclair.
Excellent. Roots. No. Itchy.
Yes, I'm here.
I can remember orders of people. Itchy.
So Patrick Seitz' performance in this, I always envision a clone of Patrick Seitz putting his hand up the other Patrick Seitz' ass and then talking out like a puppet. That is how I see this. It's such a ridiculous role that Patrick Seitz does for this. It's almost a parody of all the Patrick Seitz roles, where he's just so hammy, so over the top, and he's just this weird guy in a closet who just freaks out people for no reason. It's the best. It is hilarious, all the time. I wish he was in the show more, to be honest.
Agreed.
Itchy, thank you for agreeing to do this episode. That was delightful. Anyways,
that's going to be on our next highlight reel.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right.
And
sorry, continue.
Christopher Sabat's it's basically, when I hear Christopher Sabat's voice, I'm always like, oh, that's Chris Sabat. And this is kind of the same, but he definitely does a lot with the role. I feel like the character does go a long way, and I do kind of ship him and Haruhi together towards the end when they're just together. Even though that's like the weird gay yaoi subtext going on there, and I kind of
Hey, man, crack ships are the best ones, man.
Hey, man, their proposed endpoint for that one is the one where Haruhi is the Lady Yakuza boss of Japan.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'll watch that show in a heartbeat. So, like,
totally, that was so
ya.
badass.
I kind of also want to see Haruhi as a mob boss too. So that would be awesome as shit.
Then calling Klinkenbeard as Eclair, I mean, it's like a nothing role at the end. They just kind of haphazardly put this character in just to fill a role as a main villain, just out of nowhere. But I think she does well, some of it. Like, towards the end, I really like that they kind of turned the whole thing around where Eclair actually talked with Tamaki's mother, and that they kind of insinuated that Tamaki's mother kind of put this idea into her head of how good her son was in the end. And that kind of got her to try to make Tamaki and his mother come together back in France, and that just didn't work out because she's just so forceful and so overbearing to him that it just won't work out between those two.
Yeah, I quite enjoy all these characters. I think, as you mentioned, Patrick Seitz is hilarious. He's given the ways to he's given a chance to shine all the ways you already like him for, and also ways that he doesn't get to play as much, and he's just a delight to listen to. I also like Christopher Sabat a lot as well, for much the same reason. He's very funny, but he also gets the kindness of the character. It's also just fun to one of the few times Christopher Sabat can actually believably play a teenager, because he usually sounds like, he plays characters that sounds like the 30-something-year-old man that he is. I thought Colleen did a good job with the character, even though there's not that much to it. Claire, I thought she did bring that right level of kind of icy rich person haughtiness to the whole thing. So I was very happy all around. So next we'll go to our next pair of characters, who are perhaps more exemplar of the stranger side of this show. We have Ryujo Fujioka, aka Ranka, who is Haruhi's dad and a professional crossdresser, I believe. And we have Masuzu Sanada, who is Ranka's buddy, who's also a professional crossdresser and runs a bed and breakfast out in the country somewhere.
Simply put, they make most ladies look to shame. They know how to work those clothes.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. Ranka is played by Mike McFarlane, who I think is these days probably better known for his direction, but you may hear him acting in such places as he plays Kotaro Amon in Tokyo Ghoul. He's Goei Ishikawa in Funimation's various Lupin the Third dubs, and very recently you would have heard him as Odebek in Yuri on Ice. And Sonata is played by Sonny Strait, who you would know from such roles as Maze Hughes in Fullmetal Alchemist and Koro Sensei in Assassination Classroom. Gentlemen, what do you think of these roles? Hardy?
Ooh, Kaiba boy!
Yeah, I can see it.
Ooh,
I get mad, but you're right.
Ooh, Tamaki, let me smash you up against the wall for touching my daughter. No, I mean, these two are just a bunch of Christmas hams that really are. But honestly, Ranka is probably one of my favorite characters from the show, because even though he is on the strange side, you can tell that he really truly loves his daughter and wants nothing but the best of her. And the way Mike is able to play both this very what's the word? It is stereotypically effeminate, because he is a transvestite.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a man doing a woman's voice. That's how it's supposed to be portrayed.
Yeah, it is a bit on the stereotypical side, and I can see why some might not be comfortable with it. But at the same time, he's able to convey this real sense of warmth and love for his daughter, where he genuinely cares and wants to see her taken care of. And I think Mike is really able to go back and forth on sort of the craziness and the sporadic behavior, and also have the real genuine moments where it's just between him and Haruhi. I think there's a real sweetness between them. They have definitely not the most typical family situation, but I mean, the way they're able to make it work out really, really is sort of touching, if I could say that.
The fact that she could go to school with her situation is actually kind of a testament to her skills as an academic.
Right. And in Sunny's case, I actually didn't go back to rewatch this episode, and so I could just assume it's just silly hamminess all around. So
you would be correct.
That's Sunny straight in a nutshell. Why is Sunny straight in a nutshell? What kind of a nut has a shell this big?
5 refresher points for you, Hardy.
Yes.
Roots?
Ham, ham, lovely ham.
How many hams? How many hams?
Shut up!
I don't like ham. Oh, I love it. I'm getting ham, eggs, and ham.
Oh, lordy.
But oh my
We
god.
seem to have wandered to a Monty Python sketch, ladies and gentlemen. Please stand by
Nobody
while we
expects the ham
reorient
position.
the podcast.
Alright. I need to actually state my opinion, don't I?
Yeah.
So, Tamaki, which one do you think carries coconuts faster?
Alright. Getting back on track here.
If you Roots, if you would like.
I really like them both. Mike McFarlane, there are two sides to Haruhi's dad that you really kind of have to get right. It's, Ryuji Fujioka, father figure, basically, the male kind of persona, who shows up in a couple of episodes, mainly as he's basically trying to get Haruhi enrolled into this academy, and he plays it kind of somber and serious, and then then you get Ranka, who occasionally just shows up at random in the middle of the character's progression, and sometimes is just there, and it's wild, it's hammy, and it's wonderful. And Sunny Straight as his friend is also I didn't think I'd like it as much as I did, especially the whole refreshing points kind of thing.
Excellent. Andrew.
Okay, so Ranka, and aka Mr. Fujioka, he is the second he shows up, he's like, I'm back from work, and then he sees this blonde boy on top of his daughter, and the first thing he does, smacks his bitch ass to the wall, and proceeds to be like, oh hey sweetie, what's going on? Not even giving a fuck about who he is or what the fuck he's doing. He's just like, you get the fuck off my girl, okay? Okay. No, Ranka, or Ryuji, is that his first name, Ryuji?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Fujioka is a fantastic character who I was surprised how much I was going to enjoy. He very much is a Mace Hughes-esque character, which, interestingly enough, if you mention them as two personas, Ranka is very much like the more eccentric Mace Hughes-esque character, where he's very doting and loving and talking about how great Haruhi is while being more eccentric and carefree. But when he's out of costume, he genuinely is a very caring, supportive father. Like, he works at a cross-dressing bar, but he does still work, and he does try his best to support Haruhi and be there for her. He's a really caring character. He knows when things are wrong with her. I love the final episode when he's like, something's wrong. It's like, how can you tell something's wrong? you're not eating your breakfast. You haven't done that, like, since your mother died. He knows. He's smarter than he lets on, and he really cares and shows his support. And I really, really like that. Also, were they hinting that his wife was a Lobelia graduate?
I think they were hinting she was. I don't. Yes.
I think they were implying at the very least she was a fangirl of the Zuka Club.
Also,
Yes.
Also, since we're not going to be able to talk about it, the Alice episode hit me deep. I'm like, what the fuck? This is some dumbass, stupid shit. But then as soon as they reveal the king and queen are her parents, and then they realize the queen is her mom, I'm like, oh!
Here comes the waterfall of tears.
You're playing dirty, show! You're playing dirty. Anyways, Mike McFarlane is fantastic as this character, and I'm so glad I could hear Buggy the Clown do this shit. It's so good. As for Mizuchi, Sunny is just trying to run a business, but as soon as he realizes that, oh yeah, Haruhi's got a bunch of dumb, stupid, hot boys, I'm gonna get so much fucking money off of this. She knows what she's doing. So, okay. Mizuchi knows how to run a business. And I respect that. Sunny Straight is fantastic as this character. And I was pleasantly surprised and really had a lot of fun with their episode.
Excellent. Itchy?
So these two characters, what I love about this show is that they basically have like a commentary on transvestites and how they should be treated in public, how they're normal, just trying to dress how they want to feel. And I love that about this show, that it's so open about this. Mm-hmm. Basically, Mark McFarlane's role in this is amazing because he plays like the most caring father who knows exactly what his daughter's going on with her life. He keeps in touch with like the host club with Toya, and they even swap stories about how his life is going with them, and that's just so amazing that this role is done so well to this realistic of a father figure, even though he's a woman like all the time, and that's so amazing. And then Ranka, I mean, he is just kind of a minor character, so it's very funny that he's always like, refresher points for you, hot boy, and refresher points for you, twins. And it's like, oh, you two aren't doing anything. Get out of here. Get off my property.
I have money to make. Go away. Stop annoying the guests.
Yeah, it's just two really, really good roles that fit the show perfectly, to be honest. I don't think I could see anyone else in those roles.
Yeah, I also enjoyed these roles a lot. Sunny Straight is delightful. He's given a chance to be as over-the-top and hammy as he wants to be, which is usually, because Sunny Straight's good at that. So he's a delight during the episodes he's in. And I also liked Mike McFarlane a lot as well, mostly because I thought he did the sort of funny, silly side of the character very well. But Ranka does have a dramatic aspect, that comes in a lot. And I thought he was also good at handling that side of it as well, and actually selling it on the more sincere emotional parts, particularly between him and Haruhi. So, big fan of both all around. And now we're going to get to the real meat of the episode. Here we have the host club itself.
Too many boys will spoil the broth.
Clearly not according to the ladies of Ouran High School Academy. Because they are clearly very, very popular.
I've always wondered, do the boys hate the host club, or are they just like, you know what, that's what I want to be?
Unclear.
I know, it's unclear. We'll get that answered in the season 2, which is never.
There's not going to be a season 2.
There will never be a season 2.
If there's going to be a season 2, it would have come out already.
I don't care what Todd Habercorn says at conventions. There's no season 2.
Okay, we won't point fingers. It's just take a moment of silence for season 2 never, even though this is such a good show. God damn it. All right, continue. I'm sorry.
Anyways, so we're going to get to the host club itself. And to start off, we're going to go with the shortest and the tallest member of the host club. I speak, of course, Mitsukune Hanizuka, a.k.a. Honey, and Takaishi Morinozuka, a.k.a. Mori. Honey is played by Lucy Christian, who you would best know for stuff like Yukari... Oh, wonderful, I can't read my notes. Yukari Tanizaka in Azumanga Daioh. You know her for playing Kanema Chidori in Full Metal Panic, and more recently she's playing Ochikura Urahaka in My Hero Academia, which I don't think I knew originally, which is weird because I was on that episode. Oh well. Memory's a great thing.
To be fair,
and
it's been a while.
It has been a while. And Mori is played by Travis Willingham, who you know for playing Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist, Porcas Ace in One Piece, Ginkgo and Mushishi, and lots of video games these days. He does some anime still, but not so much. But anyways, gentlemen, how do we think of money and
Hori?
We've got to have honey.
Spoonerism strikes again. What do we think of Honey and Mori? Hardy?
Well, first of all, for this show, I think Travis Willingham pretty much had the easiest role in the entire dub because he only says one thing per episode. In some episodes, he doesn't even speak. But yeah, he does. He does
prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like he has more lines in the outtakes.
Really, yeah. But he does his job. He sounds good as Mori for when Mori actually speaks. And he's able to give him that sort of, very quiet, stoic, taciturn feeling, and yet still put a little bit of warmth in there when need be. As far as Honey is concerned, is there something wrong? Does he have a congenital defect or something like that? Because he's 17 years old and he looks like he's 8.
That's a good question, actually.
I usually just chalked it up to it's funnier that way,
right,
and or dramatic depending on the episode.
Is it sort of like a reverse Umaru-chan sort of thing, to where he grows into a full adult when he's not goofing around or whatever? Anyways, Lucy plays it.
Here's my theory: is that Honey is a Saiyan. He's like Goku. He starts out short until he hits 18 or 19. Then he just goes up really high. And then he gets blonde hair and goes Super Saiyan.
But he already has blonde hair. Does that mean he was born with it? Or is he the Gohan of this world?
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Well, he's certainly strong. He's certainly strong enough to be a Saiyan, for one thing.
You're right. You're right.
Yes. Yeah.
Holy shit.
But anyways,
he
looks like a child, and so therefore Lucy plays him as a child. And I think she makes him sound really cute and sweet and adorable. And, that's basically it. He's a weird character for sure, but she brings a lot of life and energy to it. And you gotta love Honey and his little Usa-chan doll, so.
Usa-chan!
Yeah. And some of the best parts are when you see the twins fighting and they're throwing things back forth at each other, and you see Honey just fly through the air sort of nonchalantly.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one in the end where they're fighting in the cafeteria, and first Honey flies by, and then Mori's like, "Oh no!" and then he starts flying around as well.
Honey don't give a fuck, except when you fuck with his sweets or his Usa-chan.
Or if you try to wake him up.
Oh man, that was a horror show episode.
But anyways, yeah, these two do a good job, and I like the performances.
Okay.
Excellent. Roots.
Alright, so I'm gonna start with the character who's doesn't quite have the same number of lines as everybody else. Mori. I can't say I like it, I can't say I don't, because there's just not a lot there. But, hey, I get to talk about Travis Willingham on this show. So you know what? That's a win in my book.
That's right, because we very rarely get to talk about him.
You're right, yeah. Welcome to the show, Travis. I mean, that's not true. That's
yeah,
not true.
Tiger and Bunny.
we don't get to talk about him in a lot of current stuff anymore since he's been very busy in a lot of animation and video games. But he's a great actor.
Right.
It's good to talk about him.
It's awesome to talk about him, but yeah, I do like the sort of stoic side of Mori, but again, not a lot of lines to work with here. So, Honey, on the other hand, honestly, I'm typically not a fan of Lucy Christian's little boy voice, but it works here because, Mori's I'm sorry, not Mori, Honey is sort of supposed to sort of be the little kid. And, like Hardy said, I kind of imagine Honey to be a normal size high schooler in real life, and it's just the manga and anime portraying him as a little kid for comedic storytelling purposes. I don't think they ever actually say his height, so I don't know.
What's funny is that he's actually technically, if you spoilers for the manga, he's actually technically the first one to get married.
Oh,
Really?
Yep.
that's
Good
actually
Well,
interesting.
then.
But
Good on him.
back to Honey's voice in particular. I do like that there's sort of the cheery, bubbly side, and then sort of the Majin Buu, you pissed me off, now die mode. And I think Lucy Christian played both of those really, really well.
Excellent. Andrew?
Okay, so, Honey and Mori. Mori is the silent, stoic, but very sweet character. He's very shown often to be caring and gives a shit about Honey as well as his other friends. Like, it's actually pretty interesting to see, like, when he does, when he does get moments with Haruhi. I think it's in the water park episode, which has alligators and stuff, to which Kyoya is just like, oh yeah, we wanted to test if there were alligators or not. Thanks, guys. What the fuck? Mori is a very interesting character, but he's the stoic badass, which is exactly what they're going for. Which is why it's interesting and enjoyable for both the audience and the patrons to see the tall, stoic, manly man with the tiny little adorable child that is Honey. I like Travis Willingham as Mori when he does get to show his stuff. It's a very good, bold, strong voice. That's what Travis has, and it works really well for Mori. Honey Senpai, Lucy Christian is amazing as this one, because it is straight up going for a hardcore, like, very, like, cutesy, feminine voice, which is why I think it works. I think the reason why Lucy, when you were mentioning about how Lucy, you don't like her little boy voice, I think the reason that works is because it doesn't really sound like it's going for a little boy voice. It's just going for full-on cutesy without being too completely feminine. Like, it's hard to explain, but this character is adorable, sweet, and charming, but man, Honey is a badass. Like, I was not expecting this character to be considered a weapon of mass destruction.
And that's why it's funny.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what the shit? This is happening. Oh my god, it was fucking amazing. Like, and also, Honey gets actually really scary when he's cranky and like, I need my nap. And also kind of gets some oh shit moments as soon as Tamaki's grandma comes into the picture. As soon as just the line delivery of, I hate that woman. Or like, oh, hello. Shit's going down. So yeah, that's a thing. Lucy's fantastic as Honey. I really enjoyed her a lot, and she was fun.
Excellent. Itchy.
So yeah, these two characters work really great as a pair. Mori's just the silent, stoic type. It's like pitch perfect for that role. I mean, it's not a lot to do in the role, but it works really well for the lines that he's given. And then Honey altogether brings it to just another level because they work so well off each other. Honey's like the cute little girl, or cute little girl voice for a little boy, and Mori's just like, come on, let's go. And it just works really well with both of them together. And I love Lucy Christian in this role because it reminds me so much of Tenma from School Rumble, and that voice is like, it's like a few meters down from that voice, and it sounds so similar, and it's really great. I love both of these roles. They work so well together.
Excellent. I also enjoy these two roles very well. Travis isn't getting a lot to do, but he does nail the kind of stoic seriousness when he needs to. I particularly enjoyed the bit where he's trying to explain how Honey will clearly throw this fight to show what an adult he is, and he's just so horribly disappointed when it doesn't go that way. No, it's true. Honey does like sweets more than his own brother. Womp womp. So I enjoy him a lot. And I really enjoy Lucy Christian as Honey. She just goes for, like, what if a blob of sugar became a person? And it was just a blob of sugar that was also a person. How sweet can I make this? And she's just delightful because she's so, like, preposterously cutesy without getting too annoying. And, you know, could also kind of change it up into, like, oh, that's right, Honey can kill us all if he wanted to. Whoops. Guess we shouldn't have spilled tea on his rabbit.
Yeah, don't do that ever.
I don't know which I like better, that they're freaking out so much about it, or that I think Haruhi comes up with such a lame brain explanation for what happened.
No,
and he's just like,
Mori.
oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mori.
it's Mori.
Mori comes up with such a lame explanation. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like you didn't even have to try. Y'all were like, there was brown in your pants, and like all you had to do was just be like, oh yeah, that happened.
Whoops. So yeah, I enjoy these two a lot. They're an absolute blast. Next up, we have the devilish twins of the host club, getting in all sorts of naughty shenanigans to the delight of all the girls. We have Hikaru, exactly. We have Hikaru Hachin and Karu Hachin. Which is which? Well, that's for you to that's for you to figure out. Hikaru is played by Todd Habercorn, who you'd know for such roles as Keroro and Sergeant Frog, Death the Kid and Soul Leader, and Natsu in Fairy Tail. And Kaoru is played by Greg Ayers, who you would know as Son Goku and Sayuki, which has come back somehow. I don't know how. Mm-hmm. Kaoru Yamazuka and Welcome to the NHK. And a character in Fibrain whose name is Rook Banjo Crossfield. I haven't seen Fibrain. I just wanted to say that phrase because that's a hell of a name right there.
That is a name indeed.
That's up there with Leopard Solid as far as poor. And I assume it was a poor attempt at English naming conventions.
Are we sure Tomino didn't work on Fibrain? It is Sunrise after all.
I don't know, man. Who knows? But anyways, enough of my dumb jokes. Gentlemen, what do we think of these roles? Hardy?
I just found it amazing that both of them were able to match the exact pace of addiction of each other's lines at the exact same time. Because
it is... Go on.
No. If you want to comment, by all means.
No, I was just saying it is like amazing and a little disturbing at the same time. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like they were talking at the exact same... Like they're attached to the hip, almost as if... Because you have to remember, these people record separately from one another. Unlike in Japan, a lot of times where they'll record at the same time. But Todd and Greg both had to record separately, and the fact that they were able to time their speech patterns so closely to each other to where it is exact is just absolutely amazing. And I have to give more credit to Caitlin Glass on the director's part in order to make that done. Anyways, as far as character is concerned, Hikaru was always kind of just something rubbed me the wrong way about him. He's more of the sassy bitch than his brother is. And he's very ill-tempered and sort of, argumentative, always wants to start fights, whereas Kaoru's more laid back and calm. They're both little brats, to be perfectly honest, easily. And I think that they both complement each other very well. You can't really talk about one without talking about the other. I really don't think that I think it was perfect casting on their part. I think if you had changed one of them out for another actor, it wouldn't have been the same. So, yeah, I think that when you talk about both performances, you have to talk about both of them at the same time because they complement each other so well.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Roots.
Yeah, like Hardy said, I'm really impressed with the synchronization. I imagine that both of the actors doing it separately kind of helped in that respect, because you could Greg could listen to Todd's lines a couple times and then get it synchronized right, and vice versa. I do also really like the fact that they do, in fact, have their own distinct personalities that you, the viewer, can pick out pretty quickly. Hikaru's sort of he doesn't quite get relationships, and he's a bit more of a selfish brat than his brother. And Kaoru's sort of, like Hardy said, the laid-back brother. But both of them sort of have a devilish side, and I really have to give props to Todd and Greg for getting that out of the characters. That said, I'm honestly not a fan of either of their younger voices.
Okay.
I'm assuming they're supposed to be like 8 or 9 years old in the flashbacks, and they sound way too old.
Of course, okay.
That's fair. Anything else?
No, that'll do it.
Okay. Andrew.
Okay, so when I started this show, I'd probably say these of the group were my least favorite characters. And thinking on it now, I'd probably say maybe at least Hikaru is still my least favorite. But boy, were these characters a trip. Like, I was like, oh boy, we're doing some Lobelia shenanigans. Oh, Haruhi's in a play. Oh no, she's gonna get kissed by another girl. We have to stop that. What's next episode? We're going into their tragic flashback about the fact that nobody can realize the fact and tell them apart from each other. That gives them dissociative identity disorders, makes them self-conscious, makes them close people out, makes them shove people away, and the torment and personal dickishness that was these characters until their personal growth, which was, boy, this is a fucking whiplash of an arc. Yeah.
No one does mood whiplash quite like Ouran.
Man, I was not expecting that. Anyways, Hikaru and Kaoru are very interesting characters that really grew on me a lot in this show. But, man, it's kind of hard. It's easy to see what being isolated and kind of unsure of what to do with yourself does to a person. Like, or what does to people. Because they're very much like, they want people to not notice them, but they also want people to notice them, and it's weird. And I think I should probably start talking about the performances. Todd Habercorn, I really like him being this snooty little shit as Hikaru, and Greg, I also like being the more sensitive and emotional snooty little shit that is Kaoru. And Kaoru probably became one of my favorite characters at the turn of the summer vacation stuff, because he really cares about his brother, which, by the way, I like the fact that the show acknowledges the brother-boy love incest thing is basically more or less them doing a bit, then that's what they actually think. Like, I appreciate that they themselves kind of acknowledge, this is what we do to get customers, the ladies love it. But
or as it's said in the show, twincest.
Exactly. But the actuality of it is that they've always been together and had nobody else. So, like, when they were by themselves, all they had was each other. So it makes that kind of, like, the character and the bit of, oh boy, the ladies love when guys do gay stuff, but no, it's actually like kind of tragic and really interesting. I enjoyed both Todd and Greg, but I think Greg I enjoyed a little bit more, just both him and his character, but Hikaru's really interesting as well. I quite was pleasantly surprised by his performance and his emotional range. I liked these shitty little twins who I feel so bad for.
Indeed. Itchy.
So yeah, when I started watching the show, I honestly could not tell these two characters apart because they're twins, obviously, but that they matched so well in their vocal range. And only as I got further, I started to notice, like, oh wait, that's Todd Apricorn. I know him from stuff. Like, oh, that's Greg Ayres with his whiny little voice. And I just thought that they work so well as a twin dynamic because they have such similar personalities, and yet even after the middle of the show, when they start to kind of diverge from their own goals and start to kind of separate from each other, that works so well with these two actors because they just sound so similar, honestly, most of the time to me, and that works just amazingly with the twin dynamic that they got going on.
So would you say that twincest is wincest?
As a great man once said, yes. As a great professor once said, yes.
Oh man, I put my money in the pool that we wouldn't say that this episode.
You know,
Dang
I
it.
kind of... I should have put money down on that. Fuck.
Yeah. I also enjoy these roles a lot. I agree a lot with Hardy. I think the casting on this was excellent. I think they did a wonderful job of picking two actors who sound similar enough that they, you entirely buy, oh, these are twins, but who are different enough that I think even early on, if you're, well versed enough in their voices, you can distinguish them from one another. They don't just sound like a pair of clones talking to each other. And I think they just both do a wonderful job. Both for, like, again, they do the silly comedy bits, but when the heavy stuff starts coming, they can nail that too. And also, I'm very happy they joined the host club because they had just ugly haircuts before that.
Oh God, they were terrible.
Those who let them walk out of, like, you're rich people, aren't you supposed to be better dressed than this? Ugh, terrible.
Also, their maids are hot, by the way. That's unrelated.
Well, everyone's maids are hot.
You're right. Even Goth Prince himself, it's like, ooh, Goth maid, me like it.
Also, their thief maid was really cool.
Okay, wait. I forgot about that. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Holy shit. The fact that, like, the only people they liked as kids was the one maid that tried to steal from them, probably did steal from them, and held a knife in their face, but they're like, at least she was honest. Like, man, you kids were some shining-ass bullshit when you were young. Also, what the fuck was up with that maid? Like, in a weird way, I almost thought, like, wait, is that, like, somebody? Is that somebody's mom or something? Is that Haruhi's mom?
No, I think this is just the weird world of the super rich, where crap like your, Wade being a super thief, it just happens occasionally.
Either way,
what you gonna do?
That was a surprising, like, oh, hey, lady, you have a knife, and the twins are like, hey, let's play.
We don't understand. Our lives are in danger.
But it's okay. We have it stored in our piggy bank. She'll never break it. She'll never find out where it is. It's perfect.
This is why you shouldn't shelter your children, people.
Man,
It leads to things like this.
You really shouldn't.
Yeah. Life is fun. We get to play with knives.
Lordy.
What you got in your hand? A knife! No!
No! I love how we all knew what that was from.
It was a... Anywho.
Man, that's like twice the danger of the twins, where it's just like, alright, there's this apple on your head, and I have this semi-caliber rifle. Let's see what happens.
Oh boy.
Hi, we're the Hitachin twins, and welcome to Jackass.
Honestly,
no.
that didn't change when they grew up. When you think about it.
No.
So they do that whole dye their hair thing too.
The only real thing that, like, I'll say this. of the romantic rivals, Hikaru is the silver medal when it comes to Haruhi. And, like, Karu, I can't tell if he's interested. I don't think he is, but it's very clear Hikaru very much is. Which is an interesting separation of the two characters, because it's like they're always together, or always joined at the hip. And it's like, around the time he starts realizing, oh wait, I like Haruhi, why is she friends with somebody else that's not us? That Karu's like, oh wait, you like her, and he's like trying to help her, and that's a really interesting beginning of their arc.
From what I understand in the manga, Kaoru did have a crush on her, but Hikaru was more important to him than she was, so.
That is really interesting. Good man, what a good brother. Best brother. And honestly, if I gotta be serious, in regards to my best boy of the series, it's between two, and one of them is Karu.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say, though, since we're kind of on the subject right now, I actually do kind of like the fact that this is sort of a reverse harem, but the affections of the characters to Haruhi is basically in the background. Like, this is about character arcs and progression and, like, the actual romance side, other than, like, Tamaki, is basically somewhere else that shows up every once in a while, but that's not what the show's about.
Mm-hmm. It's mostly like comedy and legitimately interesting like character arcs.
Yeah, I occasionally forget that Ouran is technically a romance comedy, because it's like, no, this is just like silly Looney Tunes jokes, and then some pathos pops up occasionally. Like,
there is
romance?
So many times it's just, oh hey, banana peel, how the fuck you get there?
And then
this chimpanzee happened to pass by and throw it there. That's why.
Obvious arrow. Audience, please pay attention to this. Audience, hello.
You know, Japan seems to have like a chimpanzee problem. They might want to look into that.
Well, who's the man that's got to wrangle all these apes together? That's a good question.
But I know someone who might be able to find out for us in our next set of characters. We have Kyoka Otori, who's sort of the business finance manager of the club, and not an official member of the host club, but an important hanger-on, Renge Hoshikaiju, who's basically a fangirl who starts hanging out with them because she knows a lot about what their audience wants, and also she has a powerful motor hidden under their room that she can use to rise up on a platform.
Strongest motor in the world.
And it's portable.
Powerful motor.
Powerful motor. It is conveniently installed in every single room that it needs to be. It's just there.
Renge is very thorough when it comes to her powerful
science.
The girl knows what she wants when she wants it, because her whole thing is like, oh, there's this really pretty boy with glasses. Later, Dad, gonna get me some dick.
Yes, and the plane literally flies out from under the building. Like she had an airplane hangar built directly below the window in some impossible to achieve shot. I mean, I don't think Renge pays attention to physics.
Does this show even pay attention to that?
Not at all.
Physics is for poor people.
Now, who are our physicians?
Screw the rules. I have money.
Well, I mean, yes, you're correct. Kyoya is played by J. Michael Tatum, who you would know for such roles as Rentaro Okabe in Steins Gate, Frederick Barnaby in Empire of Corpses, and currently you can see him playing Tenya Ida in My Hero Academia. And Renge Hoshikaiju is played by Monica Rial, who's been in like 8 billion things, but you may have seen her in such stuff as playing Nyamo in Azumanga Daioh, Tsuya in My Hero Academia, and she's currently playing Sakura in Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card.
Yeah. And don't loot the Froggo!
Don't
loot the frog.
Do it. Don't do it. Don't be a creep. But what do we think of these roles? Hardy.
Yes. Personally, I don't really think J. Michael Tatum plays Kyoya.
I
think it's very much
just
a
is.
very much Bryn. Yeah, I think it's very much Bryn April Hikari situation to where this is he basically is Kyoya. Like this role was written for him specifically. Yeah, I mean it's just like a 1-for-1 sort of situation. Like he could basically cosplay as Kyoya. He's a bit of a bigger guy than Kyoya is in real life, but I mean it's like 1-for-1 similarity. It just fits perfectly for its personality. And Renge is crazy. She cray cray. Yeah, no, I like how Monica plays her. Sort of I got a lot of. Well, I mean, this whole show gives me a whole lot of Revolutionary Girl Utena flashbacks from the mysterious pointing arrows and all the twirling flower petals. It's basically like Revolutionary Girl Utena without the sword fights and more goofy comedy. Yeah, still plenty gay in both shows, but oh yeah, but yeah, I liked how she was able to play Renge with sort of that sort of attitude that you see in other characters like Naga from Slayers or like Karen Kanzaki from Street Fighter V. Yeah, she's a whole lot of fun to listen to, especially when she goes crazy and her hair turns into Medusa and she assigns everyone character arcs. Yeah, I think she did a really, really fun, fantastic job.
Also, speaking of Ouran and Utena, both have girls kissing each other. So.
Oh yes, lots of that.
Very nice.
Oh yes.
Remember, Haruhi's first kiss was literally like, oh yeah, as the reward to this couple, where it's like they realize they're into each other, but they're kind of stupid and don't realize that. It's like, oh, she gets a kiss on the cheek. Banana. Oh no, there's tongue now.
Oops, banana.
Darn those chimpanzees, man. Somebody's got to wrangle up those chimpanzees.
Yeah, you don't see it as much these days, but there's very much a period where like the shadow of Utena and shoujo anime stretched long and wide, and Ouran's very much a part of that.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right.
Anyways, are you done, Hardy?
Yes, I'm done.
Yes, cool. Roots.
All right. I can't remember his character's name.
Kyoya.
Yeah.
That's this guy.
He's one of my favorite characters of the show. Like, he's just that scary, cold, but, has a heart underneath it all, but you just have to dig to find it. Like, I really like that scary, effective... He's a financier of the host club, and he does it with such precision. And I like the end of his character arc, probably the best out of anyone's of the show's story arc. I don't know how far things go in the manga, where he's basically the third banana to his brothers, continuing in the tradition of banana puns.
Mm-hmm.
And he's basically assured that he is never going to inherit the company unless he does something big. And then his dad's company, the buyout we mentioned earlier, I think we mentioned it earlier, but
yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Eclair is basically threatening to buy it out. So what does Kyoya do? He undercuts her. He buys out his dad's company. And then, in a fit of passive aggression, he gives it back.
Yeah. Fuck you, Dad. It was such a good moment.
And as for Renge, like, I've got a thing for Ojo-samas. That's a term for it, right? The really
Ojo-sama, the really rich
with the oh ho ho ho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I really like her character too. It's you gotta wonder where that powerful motor comes from. But I like that she's the one who's basically aware of all of the tropes that the boys are trying to convey in the host club, and she's basically trying to amplify it even further. And especially the episode with Ritsu
Kasanoda. Yeah,
Where-
cause she's like, what is this? My radar is going off the charts.
My
How
gaydar.
can this be? Yep.
And also, anytime Monica Rial has to talk about Moe, it just gave me a chuckle.
Moe!
The flames of Moe.
Remember when Moe still had to be explained to people? It was that new.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do we
those
even
are the
know
days.
what Moe is anymore?
We had to sit through hours and hours of Moe schoolgirl harem shows.
Well, back in my day, we didn't have a word for cute characters doing cute things. Dagnabbit.
See, now we actually have, like, really good, like, Moe slice of life stuff that's also really good, like, emotional character drama and development, too. So, we've evolved past the point of where everybody's eyeballs are a third of their eyes and nobody does nothing. Anyways, I think, is it my time to talk about these characters?
Yeah, I'm all
Yes.
set, Andrew.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Want to make sure. Remember when I said Karu is one of my 2 candidates for best boy? Kyoya's my other one, because he is the one that gets shit done.
Well, Kyoya has an advantage. He's the only one who's not as dumb as a rock.
He's the only one that's kind of not, like, stupid because he's hot. He's like, basically most of them can get away with being dumb idiots because they're hot. He's the one where it's like he has to work for it because all of this wouldn't be able to happen. You could literally do cosplay outfits every single episode. They change every single episode. It's kind of crazy. Because without all these finances and all this planning and all these business tactics and making all this stuff work, he knows how to make the coin work and get people to do what he needs to. That's why Ranka knows about Haruhi, because he's like, oh yeah, I got pictures. Also, I can blackmail you all because I know how cute she was in middle school. He has contacts in high places and it's scary. But he's a really interesting character, and I like that he's always self-conscious and like kind of has to deal with being in the shadow of his other brothers. And another thing, he's kind of also like seemingly more sinister than you'd think. Because remember the beach house thing? Where it's like, oh yeah, hey Haruhi, don't mind me, I'm shirtless, whatever. And he pushes her down on the bed, and then Haruhi's not even afraid. She's like, you ain't gonna do nothing. You have nothing to gain from this. So you're not gonna do anything. And it's like, yo, that's calling a bluff hardcore. Also, what was up with that? I wasn't sure, but that was surprising. Anyways,
It was for the fan service.
it was a really interesting moment, but Kyoya's a really interesting character. Tatum basically is playing this character, like, pretty much entirely just based around, like, him, and it's great. Like, Tatum's perfect. As for Renge, Monica Rial is stupendous as Renge. She pretty much exudes energy, enthusiasm, craziness, zaniness. I was also told people actually are kind of annoyed by Renge, and I'm like, who would not like Renge? And then I realized the people who are like Renge, because Renge is just the most, like, absurdly otaku, like, into all these tropes and stuff. And she knows all of this, and I feel like she is a parody of all of that, and I feel like people would be like, oh, that hits a little too close to home or something. So yeah, I think I could see why people would be annoyed at her, but I think she's hilarious and amazing. Like, she exudes full Monica-ness, if that is a thing. But I think she does a fantastic job as Renge.
Alright, excellent. Itchy?
When I think of Kyoya, basically when I think of that character, J. Michael Tatum is like the exact voice I think of, and whenever I hear J. Michael Tatum on like any other role, I'm like, oh, it's that voice he did from Ouran High School. and that voice of his is like so perfect for that. And Renge, I honestly don't like Renge a lot. I know, blasphemy. Sorry, guys.
No, like, I
right.
can see people being annoyed by her, but I thought she was hilarious.
Yeah, she definitely helps a lot with some of the exposition to get out of the way in case people don't know a lot about shoujo manga and how a lot of the tropes go. She's definitely very helpful there. But I mean, these roles are just perfect for these voice actors. Like Monica Rial, she does like the it's like, I don't want to say that she's annoying or anything, but it's kind of like that pitch perfect of annoyance where it just kind of, she's the doting fangirl who just kind of gets on your nerves a little bit because she's like overbearing and wants to explain every little thing about everything in a fandom. And then of course J. Michael Tatum is just perfect as that voice. As I said, I can't hear it without hearing J. Michael Tatum, because he and Kyoya are just so in sync and so like the same character. I just can't hear it without him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Tatum's perfectly cast in this role. He is just excellent. I think this might have been, if not the first thing I ever heard him, at least one of them. And As Always Stay With Me is one of my favorite performances of his. He's just so spot on. And just embodies the character so well. And I also I enjoy Renge. I find her maybe funny more than annoying, and I think Monica Rial also nails all the right points there. And just bringing all this like ludicrous excitement to this character who, she's just sort of like a weird gremlin who pops up to explain things because you dummies don't understand. Stand in awe of my powerful motor as I explain to you. She's great.
It's a very powerful motor.
It's a very powerful motor.
Everything.
It is installed throughout the high school and elsewhere. But now, we shall get on to one of our two main leads, I'd say, although this is a very ensemble-based show. We have the leader of the host club, Mr. Blonde, the blonde one, Mr. Frenchie himself, Tamaki Suo, who is played by Vic Mignogna. Who I don't know. Do you need to introduce Vic Mignogna these days still? He's Edward Elric.
You may have heard of him.
I'm being a little facetious. He's Edward Elric in Full Metal Alchemist. He was cast as Matt in the Digimon Tri movies, to I believe some controversy on our end. Currently, I believe you can hear him playing Makazuki Munechika in Token Ranbu Hanamaru, which I imagine Megan's very excited that's come back. But gentlemen, what do we think of Vic's performance as the leader and the reason this entire show exists in the world of the show? Hardy?
Preparing for this episode, I actually went onto A&N's forums from 10 years ago.
Oh, God.
Back in 2008.
Oh, boy.
Get the raw info straight from the source.
Right. When they first announced the cast for the show. And I read some of the initial reactions from 10 years ago that were posted on the forums. And even then, people were complaining about Vic being cast as Tamaki.
Really?
It's like, yes, even then. Because when you have an overexcited, silly, goofy, blonde character in an anime, especially if they're voiced by Mama Rubiano for some reason, it always tends to go to Vic. Even 10 years ago, it tended to be that. And that's just what happened. It happened a lot in the ADV days. It happened a lot in the early Funimation days. Even back then, Vic had dug this niche for himself to where he played that type of character. Listening to this now, there is a very good reason he plays that type of character. Because I honestly think Tamaki is his best role he's ever done. Yes, that includes Edward Elric. Those are strong words. But I could not think of anyone else who could properly do this justice. Because he is fantastic as Tamaki, and he nails all the right points. And haters be damned, I think he's great.
can't argue with that, to be honest.
Roots?
So, I'll start off by saying that this isn't quite Brotherhood Ed good, but it's definitely up there among Vic's probably best roles of his career. And, it's saying that, this may have been the thing that kind of pigeonholed him into a niche. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, well, again, I really like him as Tamaki, but I really feel like this kind of solidified him in the pretty boy character for even now occasionally, but God, this is a hard thing to put to words.
You think it was to actors' detriment in the long run?
Yes.
Because when we made predictions for Show by Rock, literally everyone picked him for Shissou because Shizou's pretty much Tamaki with it. Yeah.
Right.
Shizou's pretty much Tamaki with ears and a tail. So.
Right. And I do have to say now that I'm kind of glad he's exploring the full range of his voice with Beelzebub in Rage of Bahamut. And,
as well as a couple others, yeah.
My personal opinions on the accent of Fei Long from Garo Vanishing Line aside, I really do like his old man voice for that and Crimson Moon.
Oh.
But, yeah, looking back on this, because, full disclosure, I was gonna say this in final thoughts, but now might be a good time. Usually the rules of a Dub Talk Classics episode are at least 2 of the members who are a part of it need to have not watched the show before. And I am the other person alongside Andrew who hadn't watched the show back in 07, 08. So it's really interesting watching this now, 10 years later, where, Vic Mignogna is one of the bigger voice actors in the anime industry now, and he's actually figured out ways to diversify his vocal range. So it's really interesting to see that now, but I do think Tamaki kind of delayed that a little bit.
Okay. I see what you're getting at. Alright. So, can I go?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Alright. Tamaki. This was a character I was not sure what I was going to think of about how I felt about him, but honestly was kind of surprised at the direction and how much I ended up liking him in the end, because he's very much the arrogant princely type, and he's very much the hot boy, but what's very clear is that he is just kind of he is a golden retriever. He's a golden retriever in that he is very pretty, he's very blonde, he's a dopey, stupid idiot, but he's loyal and loving, and he could not be sweeter. Everybody thinks, oh god, he's got some sort of agenda, he's got something up his sleeve, or he's too perfect, and he just is a nice kid. He just genuinely does care about these people in his club. He cares about Haruhi a lot, genuinely. It's really interesting, and he is the reversal of the senpai notice me thing, because the senpai's trying so hard to be noticed. He's really interesting, but he's really good. Vic's really good at being the princely character. He's really good at being hot sounding, or very get your attention, but he's also extremely outrageous and hilarious in the more cartoonish moments, and it's really interesting. And I'm surprised how much I ended up liking this character. I thought he was going to annoy me.
Alright, Itchy?
So yeah, Tamaki is a character that's like so over the top. He calls himself daddy all the time. He is just such a precocious little boy who just loves his little daughter so much. It is like the most darling little role, and then to have it be played by Vic Mignogna, it's just such a revelation to see him going from Edward Elric to this lovable little goofball who just will not stop dotting about Haruhi and tries to put her in like all these dresses, all these outfits. He's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love this character that he plays. It is definitely one of my favorite Vic Mignogna roles. It also reminds me a lot of his like role in Level E, where he plays the prince, where he just plays off the comedies so well. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what can I say? This is like perfect casting for me, because it's just so good. He's like over the top. I just thinking about it just makes me laugh so much.
I forgot he always calls her daddy, and that's such a weird but funny little thing. I actually like how like Casanova kind of calls him out on that, where it's like, wait, you're not her father, you didn't marry her mother, so she's not your daughter, and you're not her daddy. Back off.
The ultimate shutdown.
It was so good. It was so good.
Hard truths.
Also, Andrew, it's funny that you brought up the whole he's a golden retriever thing.
Yeah.
There's that one episode where he just barks.
Not only that, there's the other episode where he literally just, when he drags Kyoya along, oh my god, when like Kyoya had a bad day, it's so good. And he's just like, let's go to this place called a pet store. And it's like, hey guys, I bought a puppy.
It's just licking the whole time.
Which makes perfect sense for his character. But he's actually kind of a tragic character. I was not expecting, like, I knew something was up, but it's like, wow, that's a tough hand in life to be dealt.
Oh, he has like the most like just horrifyingly tragic backstory of them all. It's like, yeah, I was an illegitimate child, and I was regretfully accepted into family because they don't have anyone else.
My grandmother
can't
hates
see
me.
my mom ever again.
See, his dad actually kind of likes him. His dad actually does love him because he was a child born out of like love and passion. But grandma,
oof.
Like, I can believe that.
Grandma. Christ.
Grandma needs to get run over by a reindeer. That's all I'm saying.
Heyo.
Oh. Yeah, no, I also agree. I think Vic's phenomenal in this role. He's just so good. He's just so wonderful at this kind of like over the top, really fast paced, loud comedy. I don't know if I'd say it's his best role ever, just because I haven't seen any version of FMA in years. But I would totally argue, like, as far as funny roles go, like, yes, this might be the best thing he's ever done. He is just pitch perfect the entire time. He can be suave and princely, and he can just be dumb as hell, and it is such a delight to listen to him. I'm a big fan. And on that note, let us go to our final character. The character without whom all this would not have been necessary. Haruhi Fujioka.
The story of one girl and one vase.
Yes.
Yep.
Fudgy okra?
Fudgy. What did I say?
No, he's going
okra.
off the
Is that
bloopers.
some sort of
I get it
like
now.
chocolate fried okra?
Oh, that sounds awful.
Oh.
That sounds really bad.
That
sounds like
baloney.
Roots.
That sounds like something the host club would think commenters eat.
Also, Roots, since I know you just finished Ouran like today, after this, you need to go look up the bloopers and have your life forever changed.
It is amazing.
Yes. Incidentally, if the show sounds fun, you can go find the bloopers on YouTube. I think they might be on the home video release. I'm not sure.
They're absolutely
They're worth
on
your
the
time.
They are on the home video.
Yeah, go watch them in some fashion. They're delightful. Anyways, I should say who plays Haruhi, shouldn't I? Haruhi
Probably.
is played by the ADR director herself, Caitlin Glass. You would know for roles like Winry Rockbell in Full Metal Alchemist. She's playing Mina in My Hero Academia. She plays Kyoko Mogami, the lead in Skip Beat. She's been in a bunch of stuff. What do we think of her performance? Hardy?
I think, even though this is one of her more low-key performances, because Haruhi is basically the straight man. Ironically, I know, considering she's the only female in the group, to all these stupid boys that are around her. But considering that this is one of her more low-key performances, she's very dry, very down-to-earth, no-nonsense sort of gal. And I think Caitlin just does it great. It's not completely flat. It's dry when it needs to be. It's emotional when it needs to be. It hits all the right spots at exactly the right times when it's supposed to. It is purely functional and yet very emotional when she needs to have a moment to herself, like she's running in fear and hiding in a I don't even think that was a closet. She was hiding in like a TV entertainment center or something like that from the thunder. And if nothing else, I think this is one of Caitlin's most heartfelt and human performances that she's ever done. I mentioned in the dubbies that I think Skip Beat is probably my favorite all-time performance from her, but I think Haruhi is number 2 because she brings so much down-to-earth humanity to the role. Like, every time, like, she hits every note she needs to. And more than anything, that's what you need to do as an actor. You need to hit all those different notes exactly when you need to. And so, yeah, I think Caitlin just did a great job.
Excellent. Roots?
Yeah, I largely agree with Hardy, though I do need to get one thing out before I start. The, even though this is a dub that's like 10 years old, and this was kind of the point in time when you could get away with it, it does kind of annoy me that the director is also playing the lead.
I mean, I don't know. That doesn't bug me that much on the grounds that it genuinely feels like it works.
Yeah, in this case it does, but it's just one of those on the side technical things that annoys me.
Okay.
That's fair.
But as for the performance itself, I do like that she plays regular Haruhi with a bit of a comedic feminine edge, and then when she has to work at the host club, and in the first segment of the first episode, she can actually pull off sort of a masculine voice. Like, and not young child masculine voice. Like, she actually sounds like a boy in his mid to late teens. And I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, I as a matter of fact, I remember going back to the Show by Rock episode again. That was one of my complaints about her as Retori, was that it sounded too much like Haruhi, and but only Retori is not trying to pass herself off as a boy. And I think it's really, Caitlin's really talented that she can do that.
I gotta say, I knew going into this, I think somewhat, where I'm like, Caitlin Glass is the voice of Haruhi Fujioka. I've heard that for many years. I've been told she's leading an Ouran. That's like a big deal. When I put on the first episode, I did not think that was Caitlin Glass. I genuinely did not think that was Caitlin Glass. A few episodes in, I still kind of didn't think that's not Caitlin Glass. I genuinely don't think I've ever heard Caitlin Glass's voice sound like this, or sound this low-key and or like masculine, young teenage boyish, but also tom girl as well. I genuinely could not tell that was her, and I was pretty impressed, actually, because that's not the voice I hear from her. I hear Winry, I hear Mina, I don't hear Haruhi almost ever when it comes to her performances, and that's really, really interesting. Actually, now that I think about it, I kind of maybe hear it a little bit in Kyoko, but even then, it's, I don't know, maybe. But either way, Haruhi is a great character, is a great leading character for a show like this. She's hysterical, but she's also like the one, when you see her react to this stuff, it's amazing. She is the one that's kind of able to tell people off when they're doing dumb bullshit, but also is very sincere and vulnerable herself, and wants to care and likes this family of renegade idiots, and she really enjoys it. And I like her character as a leading character for a show like this. She's hilarious, but she's also, I also kind of like the angle that she is this completely like non-binary leading character, that she just can be masculine and feminine easily, and it just comes naturally, and I really like that angle. It's actually really interesting to see somebody that's just comfortably both, and it's not like a preference or a sexual thing. It's just, she just can be both, and she's cool with it. Honestly, I'm totally cool for also non-binary bisexual icon Haruhi Fujioka, because straight up she kisses pretty much as many girls as she does boys, which in this show is 2-0, I think.
Again, for romantic comedy, surprisingly chaste.
Yes. Also, yes, I know about the moment in the final episode that makes everybody mad is when she falls off the horse-drawn carriage. By the way, that's a surprisingly epic final episode, but kind of makes sense in that, oh hey, this is Bones, you need to have some action in there, even in your romantic comedy. But she falls up and he grabs for her and they're falling together, and it's like, it looks like they're about to kiss, and he goes in for the hug, and it's like, that's the moment where everyone burns.
My ship, it's sinking.
It's literally
It's literally underwater.
It's literally sinking, and it is underwater, and it is drowning. That's your.
You want a conclusion of... You want a conclusion of this romantic subplot? Nope. Try again.
I'm convinced someday we will be able to get that manga licensed, because let's face it, manga's.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
it is
it is
licensed.
Wait, I
Yes,
thought it
it has.
It's
wasn't.
been licensed for years.
Yeah?
You can
Yeah,
buy
this
the
puts
whole
it
box
out, yeah.
set.
Wait, who
Yeah.
has it?
Viz.
Really?
It's been out for a
Yeah.
really long
Jojo
time.
B title,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
I will
Okay.
link it to you.
No,
Yeah.
I believe you.
You can buy.
Dude, this thing's been in print since like the show came out here first. Like this.
I genuinely thought nobody printed it. I did.
No.
Okay.
It's had a complete box set since like forever.
I'm sorry.
Do your research, kids. Anyway, so I would like to.
I guess I know now what Andrew is going to be asking for his birthday. So
I mean, I'm definitely curious to see a little more of this now. Even though I do know, like, the end game is those two. It's very apparent even from when it's a gag series, but I genuinely do like them as a pairing, and it's actually really nice. And anyways, I'm rambling on. Caitlin Glass, phenomenal as Haruhi Fujioka, and I really like Haruhi as a character.
Excellent. Itchy.
Yeah, kind of just the same what everybody's been saying. Caitlin Glass is just pitch perfect as this role. Like again, like a lot of the other actors for this show, it just seems like the casting for this is just spot on, because she plays like the best monotone, best like normal character to just play off this wacky, goofy world where banana peels everywhere and nuts so bonanza fucking happens in the show, and she plays it off so spectacularly because she just takes it all face value and is like, fuck that shit. That's kind of what I just love about this character, to be honest.
No, yeah, I agree. I like how she's just so, like, consistently both, like, is confounded by going on around her, but also just kind of unimpressed. It's not like this is amazing. It's like, well, this is kind of dumb. Isn't it spring outside? Why is there a jungle in here? What's going on?
And then she brings all the commoner food
this.
to them, and they're like, what the
And they're
what
just
the hell is
like,
this? Instant
what is
coffee?
this instant coffee? The
And
running
they
gag
end up
of them being
enjoying the
obsessed-
instant coffee.
I know. The running gag of them being obsessed with instant coffee as she introduces to them just brings a smile to my face every time.
Yeah, I actually kind of appreciate where it's like they're not like completely like dismissive of commoners. It's a world
They're
they
confused
don't
about
know.
They're just sheltered. They don't interact with them ever.
I think that's the difference in the fact that they are like kids and not parents. Is that the kids are just like, what is this stuff? It's basically like Jack Skellington discovering Christmas Land, which is like, what's this? What's this? There's magic in the air. When it's just your adult, it's just like, fucking poor people.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that in 2008, this show was able to do it right, unlike that terrible show Showman Sample, which tried to do it and just made all the girls come across as complete idiots.
Yeah, you want to watch a bad version of Ouran? Ouran's a little gender flipped. Track that one down. Better yet, don't. It's
Yeah.
not very good. Don't. It's very bad.
I think
I
think I'm the only one who wasn't on that episode.
No, that was just
Three
me,
of us.
Hardy, and me, Hardy, and Steph.
I didn't
Oh,
watch
gotcha,
the show,
gotcha.
don't worry about
I
it.
definitely
Also,
wasn't there.
Itchy wasn't on it. Itchy wasn't on any of it.
I know. I mean, of us who have done episodes, I probably should have clarified.
Right.
Yeah, no, we get what
We
you
get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I liked Caitlin a lot in this show. Like Andrew, this is not a voice I hear from her in a lot of stuff, and I really enjoy it. She's just so good. It's so wonderful. I can't fathom anyone else playing it at this point. It's like, no, this is Caitlin Glass's role. I don't think I've ever actually watched Ouran in Japanese, so I can't speak for the Japanese voice actress. I'm sure she's good.
Maya Sakamoto, if you watch stuff subbed ever, you've probably heard Maya Sakamoto.
I'm sure I have, but like in my mind, it's like, when I think of Haruhi, I think of Caitlin Glass. She's wonderful. And with that, let's move on to final thoughts, gentlemen.
All right.
What do we think about this whole shebang? Hardy?
Bold words. Honestly, I think it's one of the best dubs ever made.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah. No, I mean, just the directing, the casting, the acting. Maybe some minor adjustments do need to be made to the script writing, but we have to remember that it was a 10-year-old dub and things were different back then. I'd put this up there. This is a bold statement to claim. It's on my top 10 list of best dubs ever, right up there with the likes of Cowboy Bebop and Ghost of the Shell Standalone Complex and Baccano. And I just think everything hits every note perfectly. And I really can't think of a bad performance. I really can't.
Yeah, I can't either. Like, there's a couple of side characters where it's like they sound a little flat. Like, I think I remember the girl that's Brina Palencia's character had a crush on. Was like, wow, you sound a little not like a 9-year-old.
And then there's old Alphonse Elric mucking up this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was the turning point where it's like he was probably like basically almost done with puberty. It's like you can kind of hear it. It's really interesting. But if nothing else, he actually was like sounded the age of his character, because he was the age of his character. But yeah, no, okay. Sorry I interrupted you, Hari.
Oh, no, I'm pretty much done if you want to go to Roots.
Okay.
Roots?
Okay, so before I begin, I actually kind of have an interesting little story to tell. Actually, Amon was kind of present for it. So, Anime this year, I was basically working as a panel auditor. And
That's right! I remember this now, go on.
And, so he and Steph and Patrick had all gone out to do some stuff around town, and I was basically stuck there to audit panels. I shouldn't say stuck, because most of the panels I went to were pretty enjoyable. But, the last panel of the night that I had to audit Actually, no, it wasn't. There was another one, but it was like the second to last one I had to audit. It was basically an Ouran High School host club role-playing Q&A.
That sounds horrible.
Oh my god.
So I'm sitting there. I basically have to hug Amon and Steph goodbye because they were leaving. They left me some gelato. It was really good. But I'm sitting there watching this panel, and I'm just slowly coming to the realization, holy fuck, I am getting old. Like, for context, this is a couple days after I've turned 30. So I'm just sitting there watching this roleplay panel that was probably more designed for late teens, early 20s, and I don't understand this.
It's like watching a parade of Italia cosplayers.
Oh god.
Oh, I've seen that in person. It is not pretty.
I know people who were in the parade. It's not pretty.
That'll make you feel old.
So now, cue to me, basically, over the past 2 weeks, I basically came immediately after Devilman Crybaby, watching that for the review I did. I needed a palate cleanse, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? We've basically figured out that we're gonna do an Ouran episode for White Day, so I'm just gonna palate cleanse with this. And I have to say, it's kind of weird coming into this 10 years later. Because this feels like the kind of dub that would be put out nowadays. You know, unfortunate script writing dialogue aside. On a technical level, this feels like a dub that would be released now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And as a side note to your story, it just occurred to me now that it's a little wild that they're still having those Ouran roleplay panels in 2018.
The fact,
I know, right?
The fact,
Like,
here's the thing. This is sort of going into my thoughts as well. The fact that that is a thing in the year 2018, almost a full 10 years or so after the release and relevance of Ouran High School Host Club, says a lot about how fucking timeless this is as a show and as a dub. Like, I want, like, if it wasn't for the 4:3 ratio, I would never have figured out that, like, this wasn't a show from, like, the past couple of years, because it still feels fresh, funny. These performances are great and interesting. It's hilarious. Like, I've been going through a lot of backlog stuff I've always meant to, and I'm glad I could finally go through Ouran. And honestly, of the shows I've been watching and that are scheduled in my marathon, so far, of what I've seen, it's probably, like, my favorite. Also,
Yeah.
for those curious of the next one on my list, I'm watching Watamode next, so God help me.
Oh, that's a fun one.
So,
I'm sorry, real quick to finish up. Impeccably acted, impeccably directed, kind of close to impeccably scripted. It's good. Watch it if you haven't.
it is a show that still holds up, and, like, this is not a this is a show where it's like, I feel like aesthetically you're like, oh, this is very girly or this is very gay, but the show knows you think that. The show knows it, and it's basically playing with all those tropes and working with it to its advantage, and it's kind of amazing in that regard. It's hilarious, it's stupendous, and it's like, it's genuinely amusing, entertaining, and heartfelt all at once. I'm really glad I could watch this show. I really, really liked it.
And on top of that, it's fairly family friendly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I would not show this to, like, a little kid, but, like, if I had, like, cousins who are teenagers, yeah, I'd show them this.
Dude,
Yeah.
the reason the show is, like, still big is because there are, like, young kids or teenagers that watch it. Yeah, that says a lot. I mean, I'd much rather people watch this than Italia, for sure.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Itchy, do you have any? Or Andrew, were you done?
I'm done. I'm sorry.
All right, Itchy, do you have any?
Well, on the Blu-ray for this, there's a reason it says Anime Classics on it, because this show is a classic. Everybody should be watching this. This is one of Funimation's best dubs out there. Everything is like 10 out of 10 with this show. Even the studio that animated this, Bones, did like a top-notch job on this show. Even for like a goofy little comedy that's probably not going to be like the big blockbuster of an anime season, they still put their all into this and made it look fantastic all throughout with the colors and all the rose petals. Oh my goodness.
Man, Bones proves to me why they're one of my favorite studios in the most not Bones show you could get, but it's kind of great. And like, there is technically action in the fact that Honey Senpai whoops everybody's asses and is a weapon of mass destruction. Okay.
Honey senpai, whoop your butt so bad you can write it off on your tax return.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, Itchy. Please continue.
No, that was pretty much all I wanted to say. It's just, this show is perfect. Everybody who hasn't seen it should really see it, and kind of go with a fresh mind when you go into it. Don't look into a lot of spoilers for the show, because it's great when you find a great gag that you find, and it just knocks you on the floor laughing. It's so great.
I went into this blind.
Yeah.
That was a good decision.
Yeah, I agree. This is fantastic. This is a wonderful dub for a wonderful show. As far as I'm concerned, the dub really only has two small knocks against it. One is the dated script writing that we discussed, and the other problem is that if you watch the dub, you will inevitably have to listen to the dubbed versions of the opening and endings. Which are terrible.
You had to bring those up. You had to bring up the dub.
They're there. They're there. We can't not talk about them.
Watch it on Blu-ray because you can change the language settings for the opening.
I mean,
and there's a big old skip button.
It wasn't that terrible to me. I'm not sure.
In fairness,
are you
I think
deaf?
It's mostly the verses of the opening. The chorus on the opening is okay, and the ending is less terrible.
Like,
it's mostly just that first kiss fall in love. It's very bad.
Fair enough.
It is one of the worst things I've ever heard.
It's awful.
I was confused. I'm like, it's okay, I guess. I don't know. I guess
which is a shame, because the opening in Japanese is a really nice song.
I guess they just maybe if this was played ad nauseum to me for years, I would have hated it.
Oh yeah, no. I think especially back in the day when, like, if you're watching this on DVD and in order to skip through the opening, you need to like manually fast forward it.
So yeah,
which may not be worth it for like a minute and a half of content. You just had to listen.
Which, if I wanted to continue from like as I was watching it on Netflix, like it kind of like when I went to the next episode, it actually kind of skipped past the opening manually. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is much more of a like pre-streaming problem than these days, when they'll often just go over the opening anyways. So.
Okay.
Usually we complain when Netflix tries to automatically skip the opening, but this time, they were warranted. It was a blessing in disguise.
I didn't have the option.
I'm sorry.
I had to watch this on Hulu back in the day. Hulu.
Hulu.
On
you poor
Hulu.
child.
But yeah, aside from that song, it's very good, and you should all watch it. If you want to watch it, you can get it on Blu-ray and I think DVD still from Funimation. It is also streaming on Funimation's website. It is currently streaming on Netflix in the United States. I can't speak internationally, but I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
Fun fact: on Netflix, it has the Madman logo instead.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I want to like why is the Australian distributor on this? Anyways, and yes, it is well worth your time.
Oh, update.
Yes.
This is the entire list of shows that you can watch Ouran High School Host Club.
Hit me.
Crunchyroll,
Okay.
Funimation, Hulu, Netflix, Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, and Yahoo Video.
So really, you have no excuse to not watch this show in one form or
It's
another.
streaming on more websites than Pop Team Epic.
Dang.
It is amazing.
We're not even accounting for the international side. So
Right.
Yeah.
Or DTO.
This is just if you're US based.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, no. Check it out. It's definitely worth your time.
Yes. And on that note, I think we've said what we wanted to say. Any last thoughts?
This was a fun time. I'm glad I got to watch the show. I figured I'd like it. I didn't know how much I'd like it. I see why this show is still as big and popular and critically renowned as it is. And you know what? On the one hand, I genuinely am sad that there is no season 2, but on the other hand, I actually kind of was satisfied enough with that finale, where it's like, you know what? I'm okay with this.
Mhm.
But now I know that the manga is, in fact, legally distributed in the States due to my own folly and fuck up. I will probably look into that in the future.
Indeed. All right, gentlemen, where can we find all of you? I'll find people on the internet. Hardy?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Spaceman Hardy. I need to start posting more goat pictures. I haven't done so in a long time.
You've been
But
slacking.
I have been slacking, yes. But I basically just do a lot of rants and retweet food porn and retweet like My Hero Academia and Final Fantasy fan art and just generally, kind of be an asshole. But I'm a fun asshole, so. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can also find me at Funimation's forums, where I am the forum moderator, and I am also one of the forum Discord moderators on Funimation's Discord, if you would like to drop by there and chat. So, there you go.
Excellent. Roots?
Alright, well, you can find me on the Twitter at Roots of Justice. I mainly retweet cute animal pics. Sometimes I wear the tinfoil hat. Not always.
Sometimes.
And, apparently somebody thought to give me editing software, which was a folly. I plan to use it. Stay tuned.
Oh
We're
my.
always open to
fact-
having more hands.
In fact, you've already used it once.
And I'll do it again!
He will do it again.
I'll do it!
Don't try him. He will do it. Anyway.
You will do it, folks.
Speaking.
Andrew?
You can find me over on Twitter at MangaMan9000, where I go by my name now, Classy Spartan. Though at this point, fuck formality, my name is Andrew, and everybody here knows it. You can find me on Twitter, or you can find me over on as a moderator myself over at the Funimation Discord, and I sometimes lurk over on the our anime dubs Discord page as well. Yeah.
Don't you? You have another podcast as well, don't you?
Oh, yes. I'm also on Surreal Resolutions podcast ONA, which I do with Alex and Duelist, and other Dub Talk commentator and podcast friend, Jet. Thank you for reminding me.
Excellent. Itchy,
I
where can we find you on the internet?
You can follow me at Itchinader on Twitter. I don't really have a lot to do on Twitter, so I just retweet a lot of art that other better people that can draw do for me. And sometimes I retweet some political stuff. You can just mute me there. And I don't have a lot to do. I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I gotta work and make the bills.
But I have a question. How sexy is your beard?
Oh, it's very full, very luscious.
We've all got really sexy, really well-grown beards here.
My beard, not so much. I've got a fantabulous mustache, though.
It is a very good mustache.
That counts. That counts.
And you can find me, Amon, at AmonDuel US on Twitter, where I sometimes talk about music and old comics and retweet things, and it's all very predictable. And you can also occasionally, you can go look at the wasteland that is my very infrequently updated blog, worldthat'scoming.blogspot.com. Will I post something in the future? Maybe. I've been saying that for about 2 years.
So Hardy, will you do
Yes.
it or shall I?
I'll do it. Amon, you're not leaving here until you give us a dusty old song.
Okay. I had one planned that I forgot to write down and also forgot in general, which is unfortunate. But I've thought of a replacement, which if you don't want to listen to, say, the Japanese opening for the show, which is very good, I would recommend the song I Can't Imagine the World Without Me by Echo Belly, which is very nice. And on that note, I think that comes to an end. Let me see. You can follow us on Twitter at are we at Dubtalk?
We are at Dubtalk Podcast.
Thank you.
So,
At Dubtalk Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube at the page you're probably watching this on right now. You can just hit the little subscribe button in the corner, notifications, all that thing.
Yeah.
We have a Tumblr. We have an Instagram. I don't remember the usernames of either of those, but I'm sure there's some variations.
They'll be in the description. They're in the description.
They'll be in the doobly-doo.
They'll be down there. So follow us all on there to keep up to date on our latest doings and stuffs. And until then, otaku on, my friends.
Kiss, kiss,
Beard
fall
Squad,
in
out!
love.
Kiss, kiss, stroke the beard. Stroke.
So soft.
baby, you're
So
my
soft.
beard.
Da 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 da.
Stay away from expensive vases. Good night, everybody.
Keep it manly.
Good night. Good night, nerds.